can't hear anything on that. I know we're good on TikTok. You guys can hear me. Trying to check on YouTube, but I can't get it to come up. The volume, at least. Okay, it looks like we're good on YouTube. I got that verified on there on my phone. We can hear on YouTube or hear on TikTok. So that all should be working good now. I don't know what the deal was before, but it was a bunch of feedback. So we'll work on the Facebook later on. Like I said, the main reason for this was just to check out some live streams, but I want to give an opportunity to do some Q&A. So if you guys have some questions or comments for me, throw them in the comments. Happy to help, here to do anything I can to help you guys. We were having some great conversations this morning in my coaching group, talking about some communication errors and accountability and all of those things. And there's just so many areas of your business that you have to really focus on as a business owner. And so that's why it's really important to be off the tools. When you're on the tools, you're so focused on doing the work that you're not working on the business. You're not doing parts of the business that you need to be working on, creating SOPs, communicating the core values and the mission of the business, sales, marketing, all that stuff, accounting, financials, payroll. I don't mean you should be doing the payroll, but I mean just, making sure things are going the way they're supposed to. So it's so critical to work on the business than in the business. Now, there's always stages. There's always different parts where you're at. Sometimes when we start out, most of the time when we start out, we're on the tools. We're one man, we're on the tools. But the goal is to get to where we're not doing the tools anymore. Now, if you love it and that's all you want to do, more power to you. You can own a job and make good money, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're on the tools and then you're complaining about working too much, then that's a sign that you really aren't set up to, just be a laborer. Like, you want to grow the business to another level. Now, some people are like, I don't want to be on the tools ever. Like, I want to grow a business, but I know I have to be on the tools for a short period of time in order to grow and transition and blah, 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 because I don't have much money, so on and so on. And so when you're stuck on the tools for a long period of times, it's frustrating. It gets to be really frustrating because now you're trying to make progress and you're not making any progress. And so there's a period of time in the business where you're going to have to just work more. I mean, there's going to be a period of time where if you don't have the money to hire people, to invest in better systems or whatever it might be, the only currency you have available is time, which means you're going to have to spend more time. So you may have to work 40 hours a week swinging a hammer, and then another 20 hours a week, on the back end doing sales, some marketing, and working on some business, systems and stuff like that. That's just a requirement, or learning how to do sales. Maybe you join a sales program and you learn how to do sales. Well, you're going to have to train. You're going to have to do that and learn it sometime. You're not going to do it while you're swinging the hammer. So you're going to have to invest some time up front. That's just the natural progression. You can do it all up front and get there as fast as possible, which I recommend, or you can just drag it on and drag it on and drag it on, which is what most people do. They drag it on until they're almost burnt out. Then they come to me and they say, hey, I need help in my business. I'm ready to quit tomorrow. Maybe you can save my business. And honestly, that's not, sometimes you have to get to a breaking point to where that's what triggers you to actually make decisions in your business or make changes. And sometimes people aren't going to willing to make changes until they get to that point. But you can't just come at, a Hail Mary and then you help me to change your business and help you out. It doesn't really work that way, right? It just doesn't work that way. So what usually happens is everyone tries it on their own for a long period of time. It doesn't work. You get some level of success. Everyone's at different levels, but then you get stuck because you're missing knowledge. You're missing pieces of the puzzle. And so then you either quit or you hit bottom and then you go get help. You can just shortcut all of that by just going and finding somebody who's done it before you and doing it in the shortest period of time possible. Like my client, Kyle, he joined within 1 month after starting his business, or a couple months after starting his business. and shortcutted all of the bad learning process. Now he's struggling with some growing pains, but he's already at the next level. He's not growing pains as a one-man show. How do I do this? How do I do sales? How do I do market? He just basically shortcutted that process. He probably eliminated 2 to 3 years of stress and, failure in his business by just getting coaching from day one. Now, I know for most people, that's not the case. For me, it certainly wasn't the case. I was 9 years in the business before I got coaching. I'm just stubborn. I can't really help you in South America, unfortunately. It's just different cultures. I mean, there's different, things that you can do, but I can't help you with anything culturally, like how business is done there. There's some general business practices, but honestly, it's not going to translate over completely. I'm happy to have a conversation and see if it would work with you, but I don't know how it would work. You also have time zone differences whenever we have, calls and things like that. That's usually a problem. I've tried many times to work with people in Australia and England and different countries, and usually the time zone is just a huge factor in that. So what's up, Rulis? So, that's what we're talking about is do you want to do it the hard way longer? There's a saying I recently heard, John C. Maxwell said this, and I love it. It's most people are comfortable with old problems instead of being uncomfortable with new solutions. Most people would rather be comfortable with old problems than be uncomfortable with new solutions. And if you sit in that for a second, it's 100% true. It's easier for us to complain about not finding good help in our business over and over and over and just, spin that wheel and keep complaining, instead of looking at a new solution. Well, what's a new solution? Well, there's multiple solutions. But the problem is we'd rather just keep complaining about it and other than get uncomfortable where it's well, maybe I have to spend some money, a few $1,000s to hire an expert who can come in and set up a training program or a hiring program or a recruiting program in my business so that I can attract top talent. What's the trade-off? I got to spend several $1,000s. Well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to spend several $1,000s. Okay, well then stay stuck in your old problem and then keep complaining. You see how that works? You have to be uncomfortable in new solutions, okay? Now, let me just do a little exercise here for you. Those of you watching, go ahead and clasp your fingers. Actually, let's change this up. I want to change it up. Pretend like you're clapping, just like how you would clap. I'm not going to do it loud, but I like to do the cup, I clap like this, okay? You can get really, really loud claps like that, right? I've seen people clap like this. Looks silly, but whatever. Some people clap like this, okay? So do that real quick for me if you're watching. Just a couple times, do that, right? Okay, now, here's what I want you to do. Change it up. Do it this way. Clap the other way. This is how you normally, I clap with my right hand, my left hand. Now just change your hands and try to clap. And tell me if it feels uncomfortable. Throw a 2 in the comments if that feels uncomfortable. It just doesn't feel normal to you. Just changing your hands the opposite direction and trying to clap if it feels like you're a 2-year-old trying to walk for the first time. Throw a 2 in the comments if that's you. Oh, wait a second. I want to see some comment. Okay, Rulis, thanks for commenting on that. I appreciate it. It feels unnatural, right? You just feel like a weirdo, you don't know what you're doing. Okay? That's the feeling you should have in business when you're growing all the time. Literally 24/7. You should feel uncomfortable and like a fish out of the water all the time. When you feel like that, you are growing exponentially. Where do we want to hang out? Let's just hang out here, clap. Yeah, I hate my business. I hate my life. I hate my employees. I hate my clients. Here's an opportunity. Let's switch it. Get sales training. I don't like that. I don't like that feeling. I'll go back. I just keep complaining. I hate my clients. I hate my life. I hate my employees. I hate my business. Let's try to do some marketing. We have to pay for it. All right. Well, no, I don't like that because I've done some marketing before in the past and it didn't work. So let me go back to just complaining. Okay. That is the perfect illustration of what business owners do. That's how you stay stuck in your business. You don't want to try new things. I can't tell you how many times I talk to people that need help in their business, and I'm 100% sure, like I can guarantee you, this person is going to make a lot of money, like a 50x investment or a return on your investment. And I'm like, here's what it costs to get coaching. I just can't afford that right now, Brad. I just can't do it. I'm like, you're telling me you can make an extra 50 to 100, maybe more $1,000 in the next 12 months. I'm going to put an extra 100 grand in your pocket and you're not willing to spend a few $1,000s. Nah, I just can't afford it right now. It's just not, we got things going on and this and this and this. And it's like, do you want help in your business? Yes or no? Yes, I do want help. Do you believe that the value is there? Do you believe I can help you? Yes, I do. I think I see your stuff all the time. Okay, then why aren't you investing in yourself? I just can't afford it. That's a lie. That's you doing this. I don't want to be uncomfortable. I don't like debt. I was talking about Kyle earlier. He went out and got a brand new credit card, put the entire coaching on his credit card, had no money to pay for it, financed the entire thing on a high interest credit card, made his money back in the first month. That's what it takes to grow. I talk to people all the time and it's like, well, I'm going to save up for 3 months. I'm like, no, you're not. Because if that was the case, you would have had the money. You would already know how to save. The problem is the things that got you, the mindset that got you stuck in your business today is not the same mindset that's going to get you unstuck. You need new information. You need new formulas. You need help in your business. You don't have the information that you need to get you unstuck, but you're unwilling to be uncomfortable for a short period of time to have a lifetime of success. And you're sabotaging yourself because you're scared shitless. That's it. You're just scared shitless. You're scared to fail. You're scared to make any mistake in your life. But you make mistakes every day. You already do it, but you lie to yourself and you come up with these things that you think are going to keep you protected. Well, Dave Ramsey says never to do this. I love Dave Ramsey. He helped us get out of debt. I'm forever grateful for Dave Ramsey. I don't agree with him at all in business. I just don't, right? There's things you have to take risks, guys. I have a friend of mine here I went to high school with. He started a e-commerce business out of his garage. Just out of his garage. He started a little bit, slow and tested the market to see if it was going to work. Started getting some traction. And then you know what he did? He leveraged the crap out of himself. He mortgaged his house. He got multiple high interest credit cards and maxed them out. He was like hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt to launch this business. But because he went all in, and I had this conversation with him, he said, well, I know that if I fail at this, I can just go back to being a bartender and make 6 figures and be happy. But if I don't try this and I don't go all in, then it's not going to work and I'll never have the opportunity. Now he's a multimillionaire. He has one of the fastest growing e-commerce business in the state of Indiana because he went all in. He leveraged himself to the tilt. Now, he didn't make stupid decisions. He didn't go out and waste money. That's not what I'm telling you to do here. But if you have an opportunity to invest in something that's going to give you a return of investment, that is an investment. It's not a expense. You guys are treating everything in your business as an expense. Employees are expense. No, they're not. Your employees are money-making machines. They're not expenses. Oh, I got to get QuickBooks and it's $100 a month. That's not an expense. That's a tool that allows you to check the financial data of your business and know where you're making money or not. Well, I don't want to get a software, a CRM, or a project management because it costs $200 a month, or $300 a month, or $500 a month. It's just too expensive. You're looking at everything from an expense perspective. That is a scarcity mindset. That is what we call a lack mindset. You're lacking the knowledge, or you look at it from the perspective of, if you spend money on this, I won't have that money anymore. You're not looking at the opportunity cost. You're not looking at the backside of that investment. An investment is something that goes out in the world and brings back his little friends. You throw a dollar in the world, and he comes back a week later, a month later, a year later, and he's got a crap ton of friends with him. That's what investments do. Okay? An expense, you could argue that everything in your business is not an expense, but an actual investment. Oh, I got a cell phone. I got to pay that every month. Do you call clients on that? Yes. Do you make sales on that? Yes. Okay, that's not an expense then. That's an investment. It makes you money. If I can pick up a device and call a client and I sell a $50,000 job on this device, is that an expense or an investment? It's an investment. If I get a truck and I drive around and I do jobs with it, or I meet clients with it and it makes me money, is that an expense or an investment? It's an investment. If I buy a website that costs me $12,000 and it brings me leads in that I can sell and make money, is that an expense or an investment? It's an investment. If I hire a business coach and I pay him money and he goes out and he teaches me these things and I learn information and I go and I triple my profit or I add $100,000, is that an expense or an investment? It's an investment. Now, I'm not saying that none of this stuff is without risk. Everything has risk. You walking out the front door of your house today is risk. You may die. You may get hit by a car. Everything has risk. Okay? It's just, where do you want to place your trust in the investments that you're doing? Like, where do you place that trust? Do you want to be uncomfortable at old problems, or do you want to get uncomfortable with new solutions? Because I'm telling you right now, I've been there and it sucks. It sucks when you stay uncomfortable with new problems. I've been there for years and it sucks really bad. And then you wake up, it's 3 years, 5 years, 6 years later, and you're like, man, if only there was a way to help. There is a way. You're looking right at them. You just don't want to do it. I can't tell you how many times I talk to people and they won't go in on themselves. And I'm just smashing my head against the wall. It's like, dude, I guarantee you I could probably make you an extra $150,000 a year in your pocket. I'm not talking revenue. I mean profit in your pocket. I can make you an extra $150,000 a year if you just get coaching. I don't know, man. I don't know. I got to go buy a new side-by-side, and we're going on this fishing trip, and I just bought a brand new truck, and, we're trying to buy a new house. And like, do you listen to yourself? Honestly, like, do you actually listen to yourself talk? Do you ever listen to yourself give the excuses that you give in life? And I don't mean just like business. I mean in general. Do you actually ever listen to the words that come out of your mouth when you make excuses for not doing something? Do you ever look yourself in the mirror and realize that it's all your fault? But what's crazy is that you also have the key, the power to unlock yourself, but you're also the reason why you're stuck. It's like this, the devil and the angel on your shoulders kind of thing. The devil's telling you that you'll never be any good. The angel's trying to give you pep talk and tell you they can help you out, and you're just stuck in the middle. It's because you're too afraid. You're paralyzed in your business. You're paralyzed by fear, literally. This is like a real reaction. Like, if you're at a mall and there's something, bad going on, you hear some noises, you know what I'm talking about? You're just paralyzed. You just, what do I do? Because you don't know. You've never had training. You've never done any kind of training to react to that. I know what I would do if there was a situation like that, because I've had lots of training. And I train consistently for that stuff. The problem is you guys are stuck because you don't do you don't do any training. You don't actually do anything. You want to hope and wish. You sit in your recliner at night watching the football game, drinking your beer. Man, it would be nice. I can't wait to someday when I'm a millionaire and I can go to the Super Bowl in live and buy tickets. But you're not doing anything actually to make sure you get there. You're just hoping and dreaming and praying and whatever, probably playing the lottery too. You're going to become rich by playing the lottery. It's craziness, guys. If you sit and stop for half a second and look at your life and all of the decisions you do, you will plain as day, see why you're stuck in your business. And yet you won't do anything about it. You just won't. You'll keep complaining. You'll keep being uncomfortable with the old problems. That's much easier than being uncomfortable. I was talking to a guy one time. He wanted to join to get coaching, and he's like, "Man, I can't afford it. I can't afford it." I was like, "Why not?" He said, "Well, I just spent $8,000 on new parts for my side by side." And I just kind of looked at him there for a second. I said, "Why don't you just sell your side by side?" "Oh, I can't do that, Brad." That's crazy. I can't do that. I'm not going to sell my side by side. I'm like, "Bro, listen to yourself for a second. If you sold your side by side and then you got help and then you turned your business around and you became really profitable, don't you think in like a year or two, maybe you could buy 5 or 6 side by sides because you'll have more success in your business?" "Well, yeah, but I don't want to sacrifice right now. I just can't do it right now." That's every day. That's the conversations I have every day with people. You're looking for excuses to stay stuck because it's better to be uncomfortable than it is to be, it's better to be comfortable with old solutions than it is to be comfortable. It's better to be uncomfortable with old problems. I'll get it right, I promise. It's better to be uncomfortable with old problems. Okay, I lied. I can't get it right. It's better to be comfortable with old problems than be uncomfortable with new solutions. That is why you're stuck. Period. That's it. There's nothing else. You just won't get help and you won't take risk, which is crazy to me because you started a risk. You took the biggest risk of your life by starting a business, but you won't risk spending some money to get help. That's crazy. I mean, it's literally the definition of insanity. You guys I talk to contractors every day. They want like, hard guarantees. It's like, well, why don't you just coach me for free? And then if it works, then I'll pay you. Even if I did that, which I have before, you know what happens? Nothing. You know why? Because there's no skin in the game. This is why we charge people for consultations. The whole reason we charge for consultations is to have skin in the game. It's not because I'm trying to make money off of a stupid consult. It's because if they invest money in the consultation, they're serious about getting help in their project. The reason why I charge for coaching and pay more and why it's expensive, one, because I want to make money and my time is valuable. I know my value. But two, because you need to come in and actually get a return on your investment. When I've done payment processes and things where like they didn't have to pay very much up front or low entry fees and things like that, those people never succeed. They'll come in, they'll pay $100 a month, and they don't do anything. They just don't do anything. The ones that come in and have to pay $7,500 up front on a credit card, they come in and work their ass off because they're trying to get their money back as soon as possible. And guess what? Action is the direct result. Like action is tied to the result. So when you pay a bunch of money, you want to come in and get your money back. You go through the program, you do the coaching calls, you learn the lessons, you apply it to your business, and guess what? You start making money. So the actual act of paying is insurance for you to get a return on your investment. I'm in a coaching group right now. It's $70 a month. I'm in one. Like it's like an AI community where they teach you about using AI and all that stuff. I pay $70 a month. I've been in there, 4 or 5 months, something like that. I think I've logged in 3 times and watched some modules. It's just, I don't have time. It's not super important to me. It's only $70 a month. It's not the end of the world. Do I want to pay $70? No. I mean, I'd rather keep that money, but it's also, there's some value in there, and I'm working on some certain things that I need to access the information. But really in the background, it's just $70 a month that I don't care about. Now, if it was $300 a month or say $1,000 a month to be in this, I'm either in there doing the stuff or I'm out. You see what I'm saying? So like you have to have enough of skin in the game to make it worth your while. You have to invest in it. Jose Luis, I have several different programs that you can do. It just depends on where you're at. But the Profit Club, which is what this is my main coaching, my flagship program. It's $7,500 a year is what it costs. I also have a lower level, like entry level coaching. It's only $97 a month. It's Profit Accelerator. So it's like a light version of the Profit Club, and it's only $97 a month. anybody and everybody should join that, because the amount of value you'll get in that is worth 5 times. I could charge $500 a month for what we do in that program alone, but it's there to give people an option. They just simply can't afford it, which again is an excuse. Just lying. I mean, just could tell you it's an excuse. But if you really want to have real success, that's what the Profit Club is. It's $7,500 a year, and I could easily charge $25,000, because everybody who's gone through that has made, 50 times their investment. They've made at least $100,000 back on their investment. I have clients that have made hundreds of thousands of dollars back. So it's worth every penny. But beyond that, I don't even care if you join my program. I'm just talking about coaching in general. Like, if you need help in your business, go get a coach. If you don't know how to ride a bicycle, go find someone who can teach you how to ride a bicycle. If you don't know how to fly an airplane, go find someone who can teach you how to fly an airplane. It's like, we've done this our whole life. I don't know where the disconnect is for people to think, well, I started a business, so I know how to do everything. No, you don't. You don't know shit about business. You know how to do your trade. You know how to pour concrete. You know how to set brick. You know how to trim, install, do carpentry, hang drywall, paint, set tile. You know how to do those things, but you don't know shit about business because you've never been to business school. You've never learned about sales. You've never learned about marketing. You've never learned about leadership. You've never learned about hiring. You've never learned anything about the business, but you think because you're an excellent, craftsman that it just transfers over. I can figure it. I figured out how to build a whole house by myself when I was 2 years old. Surely I can build a business. No, you can't. You can't. Now, let me track that back. Are you capable? Yes. Can you do it? Potentially, over a long period of time, you can possibly do that. The likelihood of someone that's going to go out there and figure it out on their own is about less than 1% of you. Less than 1% of you just have the ability to go out there and figure it out on your own. It's not a lack of information. There's plenty of information. I mean, hell, I've done over 800 videos. You can go watch all my content and probably learn everything you need to know. That's not the value of coaching. It's not the information, although there is value there. The information is in the implementation. It's in the execution of it. It's like having the alphabet. It's like having every letters in the alphabet and not knowing what order to put the letters in. Like, you have all the letters. You have, A through Z, but you've never seen the alphabet before. And so you're trying to figure it out. If you're trying to learn a different language and they said, here's all the letters of the alphabet, you wouldn't have a clue what order they put in there, and then you go and ask them questions and they go, oh yeah, well, you always start with, for us, it's A. You always start with A. Okay, well, I got that figured out. But what's next? That's what it's like in business, trying to learn everything. You're trying to put everything in order. When you have someone that can look at it and say, no, you don't need to worry about hiring a salesman right now. That's not your main concern. Like, sales isn't your problem. You have a production problem, right? Or you have a marketing problem, or you have a pricing problem. You're just simply not charging enough. I've helped a lot of contractors where they're like, I need to hire a salesman and I need to hire more crews so we can make more money. And I look at their numbers and I'm like, you don't need any of those. You just need to raise your prices. That's it. And that's literally all they do is they raise their prices. They're getting like a 25% gross profit. We raise it to 50%, literally doubling the percentages, which is like quadrupling their profit. And overnight, they're making money. And they don't need more crews. They don't need a salesman. And all of a sudden, they're like, oh, yeah, this is much easier than what I was trying to do. I was trying to run 4 crews with, making jack crap on money. And I'm running around with the chicken with my head cut off because I'm trying to manage all these jobs. And I'm like, yeah, you just didn't know what you were doing. Welcome to Business 101. Like, charge what you're worth and do less of it. That's the solution. Parker, call every single person you know. That's how you do it. You call and text and email and visit every single person you know and tell them that you're starting a painting business. And you start getting as much, business as you can to get started out. And then you use that as leverage to get more business. You get reviews from every single one of those people. You post them on Google. You collect video testimonials. Hey, would you mind being on camera and let me record you? telling about your experience. Sure, you're going to get a handful of people that'll do that. You take that and you put that in your website, your social media, and then you just spread like wildfire. Join some networking groups like BNI, and just knock on every door, dude. Turn every stone over. If you called 100 people a day, you'll have work. It's a volume thing, guys. It's a volume thing. I've been working on a formula for a while because I've been trying to figure out how to create a formula that's easy to understand. And I'm not saying this is the perfect formula because it may need to have, I'm looking at it over here on my wall. It may need to have some adjustments, but I think it's pretty good. I think it's good enough to share, at least with you guys. So let me see if I can just like add a little text on the screen and do something here. I don't know if I can. What's this one? Oh, so this screen, if you still see it, is this is the website that you can go to sign up for. That's the $99 a month coaching program. But I'm gonna like delete this text here because I know this works, and put my formula in here. Hopefully it works. Let me. I'm trying to do this in real time. I wasn't planning on doing this. How do we fix this? Maybe you can't do it while you're live. I don't know. I don't think I can do it while I'm live. Yeah, I'm not sure I can do it while I'm live. Here's the formula. I'll just tell you. I was trying to put it on the screen, but I'm not ready for it. The formula is this. Desire, this is the freedom formula for business. Desire plus knowledge plus action, okay? So imagine this in parentheses. Desire plus knowledge plus action. You have to have a desire of some kind. I desire to start a business. I want to build houses. I want to be a landscaper, blah, blah, blah. I want to be my own boss. That's the desire part of it. You have to have desire. Like you can't just, be homeless and jobless and be like, I'm going to be rich. No, you have to have some kind of desire, okay? Most people don't have a desire problem. Most people are solid on desire. Now, how much desire you have, that can definitely fluctuate. Desire is the first thing. Knowledge. You have to know how to do stuff. Like I can't say I'm going to be, a hedge fund manager. That's my desire, is to be a hedge fund manager, and I don't know anything about hedge funds. Like that doesn't work. I have to know information. So desire plus knowledge, and then plus action. How much action do you take? So if you take relentless action with a little bit of knowledge and a lot of desire, you're going to have some success. If you take, if you have lots of desire and lots of knowledge and no action, you're not going to have success. You have to take action, okay? So you follow me so far? Desire plus knowledge plus action. That's the building part of it. And then the other side of the formula, there's a negative, there's a minus, and that minus is your limiting beliefs. This is what keeps you. So you can have tons of desire, you can have some knowledge, and you can take a lot of action. But if you have limiting beliefs in place, it's going to reduce the effectiveness of your freedom. You guys understand this? This is making sense to you. Put a 3 in the comments if you're understanding what I'm saying. If you have lots of desire, lots of knowledge, and lots of action with very limited limiting beliefs, in other words, you have no limiting beliefs or very minimal limiting beliefs, you're unstoppable. Desire plus knowledge plus action minus limiting beliefs. That's your freedom factor. That's the formula to determine what kind of freedom you're going to have in your business. A lot of people that I've talked to have lots of desire, they have some knowledge, they have very little action, and they have lots of limiting beliefs. So what's happening is the action that they are taking is being canceled by the amount of limiting beliefs they have. What do I mean by this? I can't charge more because there's other competition. That's a limiting belief. That is not a true. That's not a true. A true fact about your business. When people say, I can't charge more, Brad, because there's other people that are less than me and they'll take the jobs, that is a limiting belief. That is not an actual fact. There's lots of people that will pay more money. You just don't have access to those people, or you don't know how to sell those people. You have a sales problem. So that could be a lack of knowledge. So maybe you have a lot of desire. You have a little bit of knowledge, but not very much in sales specifically. And you take a moderate amount of action, like maybe you take some action, but you have a huge limiting belief that you can't raise your price. You're gonna struggle. Does that make sense? Like, does the freedom factor formula make sense? You're going to struggle. The ultimate formula is lots of desire, lots of knowledge, lots of action, and no limiting beliefs. That's the formula. So, I can't visually show this right now, because I wasn't prepared to do that. But you can have the more freedom you have in your business is dependent upon that. If you have very little desire, like you're burnt out in your business, you've been working hard and now you're kind of burnt out, it's going to slow you down, because without desire, you usually don't have action. You can have lots of knowledge. I know a lot of smart people that are broke. You think knowledge is going to get you there, but then they don't take action because they're scared to death, right? You have to have those three things: desire, knowledge, action, and you have to remove the limiting beliefs, because that's the negative act. That's going to hurt your chances. So the choice is yours. I mean, it truly is. You guys can, again, be comfortable with old problems, or you can choose to be uncomfortable with new solutions. Those of you who don't know what I'm talking about clapping, earlier I was talking to you about clapping like this, like you normally clap, and then switching your hands and trying to clap the other way, and how uncomfortable that feels. That's how you should feel in business 24/7. You should just feel out of control and uncomfortable the entire time. People that race, like, motocross racers and rally racers, and people that, mountain bike people. You ever watch like mountain bikers go down a huge mountain face, like just through the woods, inches from trees, inches from the side of a 300-foot drop-off cliff, and you just think they're insane. Like, these people are insane. They have a death wish. They're doing great crap. Those people they're in controlled chaos, essentially. I don't mean they're in control, but they're uncomfortable in the control that they're in. Now, the more you do it, the more comfortable you get, but they're always they're in a micro chaos situation that they're in control of, for the most part. That's how you should run your business. Just pure, uncontrolled, uncomfortable. That's the word I'm looking for. I don't know why I said controlled. They're flying at high rates of speed uncomfortably. Like, it doesn't feel natural to go flying down a hill where everything's trying to kill you. It's uncomfortable. But because they have done it enough, and they have confidence in all the other things that I told you about, they have desire, they have knowledge on how to do it, and they take action, practicing, they're doing what they need to. They don't have the limiting beliefs. They're removed. Then they can do that. But that's what it looks like. That's what business looks like. You should, like, not know what the hell's going on most of the time, and like how you're going to solve the problem. What most of us want is like ease, where we don't have to solve any problems, and we don't have anything to talk about, and we just come in and we can like play solitaire all day on our computer, make a few sales calls, and then go home and make lots of money. And that is not what successful businesses look like. The higher you get in success, the more and bigger problems you have to deal with. But all of the problems up to that point have prepared you for the next big problem. When I was in the Marines, I was in the infantry, so we do rucks, we do hikes and humps and, all that stuff. If you go on like a 20-miler, you go on a 20-mile hike, you don't, day one, do a 20-mile hike. No, you start off, you do a 3-mile, and you do a couple of those, and then you do a 5-mile, and then you do a 7, and then you do a 10, and then you do a 12 or a 15, and then you do your 20, right? You have to build up to that. So when you do a 3 miler or a 5 miler or a 7 miler, you're building up those, those muscles, you're building up that resilience, and then it allows you to go to the next thing and you're pushing yourself. It's no different than marathon runners, same thing. Like you can't just go from 0 to 20 miles without doing any practice. You can't go from 0 to 20 million without going to, having some practice or setbacks or struggles. You have to go, you have to have different layers of this. There's steps. Sure, there's always exceptions. There's somebody that just got lucky and they made millions overnight, but that's not repeatable. Like that same person, if they had to do that in a different market or a different industry, they probably wouldn't have that level of success, right? I mean, there's lots of people you can watch, billionaires, millionaires, that talk about, luck. It's timing, and luck plays a huge factor in their success. But even at that, that's like the ultra. I'm talking about just having, moderate success, breaking $1 million, breaking $5 million, breaking 10, breaking $20 million, or personally, breaking $100,000 in personal income, or $250,000 in personal income, or whatever it is, net worth, breaking $500,000 in net worth, breaking $1 million in net worth, like whatever you want to measure yourself by, it's all gradual. You have to step it up, but each level is preparing you for the next level, which is harder. It's not easier, it's harder. Each level gets harder. That's the part you got to understand. Where people get is they dip their toes in the next level, and they're like, holy, no, this is way too hard. They dip their toes in the next level. Oh, no. I don't want to have a bunch of employees. They're just a pain in the butt. I'll just stay down here at, I'll do 200,000 in revenue and take home 75 and I'll be fine. That's all I need. Okay, what about retirement? Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't have a lot of expenses. You want to go on vacation. You don't want to have you don't want to maybe go buy a new vehicle at some point. You're not going to retire. You're just going to work until you're 90. Work at Walmart, being a greeter. That's the goal. Well, no, I don't. No, guys, you have to shoot higher than where you want to go. That way, if you don't make it, you're still there. So, all right. I don't even know how long I've been live for. The only reason I got on here was to test out the mic and try to get everything working correctly. I think we got that figured out. But yeah, I mean, choice is yours. You can stay with, what's the saying again? Remember? You can be comfortable with old problems, or you can be uncomfortable with new solutions. Whichever one you determine to do, or whichever one you want to do, is going to determine the outcome in your life and business. So I appreciate you guys hanging out. If you want help in your business, reach out. Happy to do that. I do have a couple different programs. I have, the entry level, which is going to help everyone, like literally everyone can get information from that. And then if you want to step it up, then, join the Profit Club. That's going to be a little bit more expensive, but it's worth it. Again, I could charge $25,000 and it would be worth it. Every person who's ever come through is like, oh man, I would pay double. I would pay triple for this, but it's scary on the first swipe of the credit card, can be scary. I get it. Either way, you can reach out to me. You can go to my profile. You can send me a message. I'm happy to answer any calls you got for you. I may try to go live again tonight on TikTok. I don't know if I will or not since I went live today, but I usually try to go live on TikTok in the evenings from 8 to 9. If you don't follow me on TikTok, if you're watching on YouTube or somewhere else, make sure you go to TikTok and follow me there. It's the Hammer and Grind Podcast. That's the name. I promote the podcast there. But yeah, Daniel, the Profit Club is $7,500 a year. The Profit Accelerator is $97 a month, or $1,200 a year. It's monthly. You just pay monthly. But again, it's worth every penny. All right, that's it, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll see you on the next live. And as my sign off on my podcast goes, is profit is not